listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
All right, you're here with Cameron Cooper Happy Hour. This is Wednesday night, August 15th, 2007. You're listening to Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. Thank you for listening. You're listening to Wavelength Radio. It's so good for everyone at Memphis this week. I heard today it was 106 degrees in Memphis. If you've ever been to Memphis or anywhere around those southern states, it's humid all summer long, and if you throw a 106 degree temperature on top of that, it's miserable. So Elvis fans, they don't care. I mean, when you're an Elvis fan, you will wait in line overnight, camp out, just like you're buying concert tickets. It's crazy around there, I'm sure, right now. And I've actually had two opportunities to go to Graceland. The first one I went with my brother years ago, and it was a great time. And now they've got a new format where when you go in to view Graceland, before you even go across the street from the parking lot in a little cart or a bus, they hook everybody up with a headset and a little receiver you snap on your belt loop, and everything's controlled. The tour is controlled, I should say, by radio transmission, and so you get to hear background music of Elvis singing, and then someone commentating and telling you little tidbits of information about Elvis's life and songs and the history of Graceland. And then as you enter into the actual home of Graceland, you actually have the talking on the headset telling you room by room what you're looking at, the history of the room, and directing you to go into the next process of the house. And I don't know, I got about through the living room. When you walk through the front door, I got in, and about halfway through the living room, I took the headset off. I just wrapped it around my neck, and I wanted to hear and feel the ambiance of the room. You know, you can feel it when you've got a headset on. It's hard to really realize as much what's around you. It made it a little bit more mechanical, like I'm watching something on TV as opposed to actually being there by having a headset on. So I think, my opinion, Graceland needs to do away with that. To me, it's an interference. It's a distraction that it steals away from the actual realness of being there, and that way you can experience more of what you're seeing, feeling, touching, smelling. Because the rooms have their own smell, like any old house. That place is probably at least 100 years old, and it has a great history. And it just was more enjoyable for me to not have the headset on. And I think a lot of people would feel the same way. But you get caught up into it, you throw it on, and the next thing you know, you're done with the tour. And an hour later, and you've missed out on a lot, creaking of the stairs and things of this nature. So enough said of that. It is Elvis Week at Graceland, and let's see, tomorrow marks the anniversary of Elvis's death, August 16th, 1977. He passed away, and we're always sorry about that, but it has turned into a celebration as opposed to a mourning, and I'm very happy for that, as I'm sure his family is. And we certainly will be playing you an Elvis song later in our broadcast to mark our remembrance of that special occasion. And coming up in the show, though, I do want to mention that Van Halen, I mentioned it last week on my show, that they were going to announce their tour date of a reunion. I thought it was a reunion with the original member, David Lee Roth, with Van Halen. But it's not a reunion. They have stated. They made their formal press conference here earlier in the week, and they are actually considering themselves not a reunion, but a new band that is back together. Eddie Van Halen's son is taking the place of one of the Van Halen brothers that is no longer available at this time for, I believe they're in rehab or going through something like that. However, I understand he's a young musician. He knows every guitar lick of every song by heart, and as he should. I mean, it's the family, and it's a great sound. And they say they sound better than they've ever sounded. And so we look forward to that, hearing a little bit about that. Also, I know that they said they're going to go 25 dates here in the United States, and then they're going to launch over to a couple of European countries. I don't know which right at the moment, but after they do that European concert, they are going to cut a new album with new songs. So that'll be exciting to see what their new sound is going to be like, and I'm certainly anxious to see what's going on with them. But a little bit later on in the broadcast, though, coming up here, we are going to be speaking with Kim Nozell, I hope. She is a spokeswoman for the Arizona Humane Society, and we're going to discuss a little bit about the tragic canine death that has resulted as a police officer, or his handler, as they call him, had left the canine police officer, if you will, in the car unattended for 13 hours. And Bandit is his name, and he did pass away. We're going to be speaking with Kim and getting her opinions and comments on that a little bit later on the show. We're also going to be speaking about Merv Griffin, who this past week, Sunday, I believe, passed away at the age of 82 from prostate cancer, and we're sorry to lose this gentleman who was quite a contributor in the entertainment business, and still is to this day, because it's a perpetual wheel that keeps spinning, and it's never going to stop. I mean, even to this day, I believe we have Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Aren't both of those? I'm speaking to my producer here. Aren't both of those shows still on the air to this date?
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are things that he started. I believe one maybe back in 1972, the other maybe back in the.
Willery was the first host of Wheel of Fortune.
Chuck Willery, yeah, first host of the Wheel of Fortune, and he's still around with us. He's doing some commercials for some land sales, I believe. I've seen.
GSN, he's on all the time.
GSN, he's on there. Yeah, he's still going strong. I always remember Chuck Willery would say, "We'll be back in 2 and 2." Yeah, great commentary talent right there too, and but we are going to be discussing a little bit about Merv Griffin and his great career that he's had, and maybe touch on a few details of his personal life, and we're going to go ahead and take a little station identification break and play a little song by Mr. Merv Griffin. It's the only song that he ever recorded, but he did. If you're going to do one song, it ought to be a good song, it ought to be a hit, and it was. I think even back then in the 60s possibly, he made $3 million. No, not $3 million. It sold over 3 million in sales. So it was a big hit, and that's a big number for back then, let me tell you. So we'll be back with you in just a moment. You're listening to Wavelength Radio. At any time during the show you would like to call in and post your opinions and comments, we welcome your calls to all you listeners out there. If you're nationwide, please call us 1-800-421-5308. If you're a local viewer here in the Phoenix Valley, please call us at 602-288-6794. Coming up after me is going to be the Patrick Adams Show, followed by the Round Table. Thank you for listening to Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio.
Visit us on the web at www.wavelength-radio.com.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
All right, thank you for joining us. This is Cameron Cooper with Happy Hour. Once again, if you guys would like to call in, we welcome your calls, listeners. Nationwide, 1-800-421-5308. Local viewers in the Phoenix Valley, 602-288-6794. We are back, and we were just briefing on a little bit about Merv Griffin, who recently passed away this past Sunday at the age of 82 from prostate cancer, and we certainly will miss him. And his, he did so much more than just radio, television. And I apologize. I wanted to play a song, but I couldn't get it queued up with the technicians in time because I didn't give them enough fair warning on that. But the only song that the man actually had recorded was a big hit, and it was Lovely Bunch of Coconuts. And it was back in the 60s, and it was very, very big back then. I mean, if you listen to it now, it seems like it could almost be a little bit of a Disney theme song or a commercial theme song or something. But back then, I guess it was very cute and ritzy, and everybody liked it, and everybody bought it. And somewhere to the tune of 3 million copies were sold. So that was pretty significant for him. It opened up a lot of doors. I think it was interesting. There's so much about this man if you go researching on that he's been involved in, and it seemed, my thing that I noticed about him, it seemed that when he would go into a limited, what would most people consider a limited opportunity, he would go in and he would turn it around to where it was a great and significant opportunity. He would go in and host a show that was just a limited little time slot show. We've got this, okay, you want to do it, and he goes in. The next thing you know, he's taking control. They're renaming the show, and they're changing time slots, and I'm sure they changed his budget as well and his income. But he just had the gift to take something and make it beautiful, and he was a true artist in every sense. He also got involved in real estate and took significant older hotels and gave them multi-million-dollar facelifts and turned them into small empires. And the guy was just phenomenal in the real estate market. They call him a real estate Mongol. And I hope I said that word correctly, pronounced it correctly. But the guy is not a millionaire or a multi-millionaire. He is a billionaire. Passed away at the age of 82 Sunday, a billionaire. And that's something to be said for someone that starts off just trying to sing a song and trying to get a show, a radio show, and a TV show. He really did some great things. A little bit of interesting things I did read about the man was, actually, if you could turn that up a little bit, that would be great. This is just a little bit in the background there. You can hear the Lovely Bunch of Coconuts. And this little bit that you're listening to here is actually, it's on video, and he's very animated and very comical and very original. The guy was just a natural. I mean, they even said that he never really interviewed his guests. He just brought them out and talked with them. And they immediately were at ease as soon as they were in his presence, because that's just the kind of person he was, and the way his aura was, and the way he made you feel in his presence. And I think that's partly what made him as successful as he was. He was comfortable being who he was. But one thing I did read about him, though, is that he wasn't always comfortable about himself, though. I think he gained that. But in the beginning, though, see, he started off on the radio, and he was, but not behind the camera. And so then when he started pursuing things where people were wanting to look at him, whether it was from photographs or in TV or video, I guess there were some not so kind comments made about him. He was overweight and not that hip, so to speak, and it really made a big impact on his personality, and he was really distraught over it. and he made a life change, and I believe I read he lost around 60 to 80 pounds and put on a whole new look. And apparently it was successful because he was successful. And whether that was because of the reception that was given to him, or that they perceived of him, or if it was his own feelings about himself, and that shined through. But I think they're all actually very connected. You've always heard that a little bit about, well, if you feel a certain way about yourself, people will respond to that. And so that's important. So we're going to just wrap this up real quick. We want to get on to our next segment here. We're going to be speaking with Kim Nozell of the Arizona Humane Society, and we're going to be mentioning some comments of hers and opinions about the canine bandit that was tragically left in the vehicle of the police SUV and passed away. So we'll be coming back with you in just a moment to speak with Kim. This is Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. Please give us a call at 602-288-6794.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio.
Visit us on the web at www.wavelength-radio.com.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures. Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together right now over me.
All right, you are back with Cameron Cooper. This is Happy Hour. Once again, we do welcome your calls to our show. If any opinions or comments you have, we want to hear them. 1-800-421-5308. Local viewers in the local listeners in the local Phoenix Valley. 602-288-6794. This is Wavelength Radio. We're going to be bringing on Kim Nozell of the Arizona Humane Society. And we want to get her comments and opinions on the recent death. I'm trying to think of the right words. The recent death of one of our police officers, if you will, a canine police officer, that was left in the car of the handler for 13 hours. All right. Kim, we're going to go ahead and bring you online right now. We appreciate your calling. And this is Kim Nozell. Did I pronounce your name right, Kim?
It's actually Netzel.
Netzel, I apologize.
But pretty close. That's okay.
And, Kim, you were with the Arizona Humane Society, is that right?
That's correct.
And you're well informed about the incident of this Chandler police canine that was left in the SUV police vehicle for 13 hours. And died as a consequence of this?
Right. I mean, I have quite a bit of the same information that a lot of other people have about the case. Yes. Uh-huh.
And I know that there's probably certain boundaries that we don't want to go into because they're not really sure where things are at, if there was any police policies that were violated in this. But as I'm reading off of the information that was provided from the East Valley Tribune, it was mentioning that the dog, what Bandit is his name, or was his name, was discovered in the sports utility vehicle that was parked outside this handler or police officer's house at about 10 p.m. Saturday. And it seems like there's a little bit of negligence there, and I don't know if there's enough focus on the fact that they're looking at, well, they're trying to find if there any police policies were violated. But if there's not police policies violated, certainly there are some standards in which we need to be able to take care of our animals. Is that correct?
Well, sure. And I think that this case really centers on in terms of a future or the current investigation and the future of the officer is whether or not he violated the state law, because Arizona revised statutes 132910 line 7 specifically states that someone commits animal cruelty if they intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly leave an animal unattended and confined in a motor vehicle, and physical injury or death is likely to result. And so I think what this investigation will focus on is that one word in the statute, and that's recklessly, because reckless is more than careless and it's more than negligent. And I don't think there's anybody who believes he did this on purpose. And it's pretty well documented that he just forgot to get the dog out of the car. So I don't think it fits the standard of knowingly. So it's that one word, reckless. That's what they need to find out. Was he reckless in his actions?
Right. Thank you, Kim, for that. And I do agree. I do not believe that this police officer intentionally did anything like this. And God knows that they have an awful lot on their mind and a lot of responsibilities. But as you did mention, though, this is it's a state statute. Is that correct?
It is a state statute, and so, they may be taking action within their own department, disciplinary action, which they should. But what we all need to realize is that if I've heard so many people talking about the fact that they want him prosecuted to the full extent of the law, but
Right.
But, that's not going to happen unless there's sufficient evidence to show that he was, in fact, reckless. And we don't know that, and that's what we're waiting for. And at the Humane Society, our primary concern with this case was initially the announcement by Chandler Police that there would be no investigation, that there just would be disciplinary action, and that would be it. And what we want them to do is take a look at the case, take a look at the facts surrounding everything that happened, and determine whether or not it should be moved on to prosecution. And I think that's what the public wants is if he did break the law, then he needs to be held accountable as any other citizen would. If the investigation yields that he didn't break the law, well, okay, we may not agree with that, but then you have to take issue with the law and not necessarily this police officer. So, there's a lot of information we probably don't know as to why and how on earth he could have forgotten to take the dog out of the car. And secondly, why it took 13 hours to realize the dog was missing. I mean, I know at my house, if one of my pets is missing for a couple of minutes, I notice. So I can't imagine going 13 hours without knowing where they are.
I agree wholeheartedly there, Kim. And especially, even to this date, in the past week or two, we've heard about people or parents leaving their kids in the cars and things of this nature. So, it can happen with anyone. And I think that the most important thing, and I read this in the East Valley Tribune, that you just said that you do hope that this reminds people, that Bandit's death reminds people that anyone, a child or an animal, left in a vehicle in this kind of temperature that we're in right now is definitely something that we need to pay attention to. Are you still with us, Kim?
I am.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I lost the connection there for just a second. And I lost anyone left in the car in this deadly heat. And, I think if there's an upside, and I know it's really difficult to find one, but he didn't die in vain, and in that people are really talking about this, and hopefully they'll be talking about it for a long time from the standpoint that you can never, ever leave any animal or any vulnerable population, animals, children, or the elderly, in a car, because these are folks who can't get out. These animals can't get out on their own. And so hopefully we've all learned a lesson from this.
Absolutely. Kim, we appreciate your call in and your opinions and comments tonight. I'm going to go ahead and let you ring off the line there, Kim. And listeners, you were listening there to Kim Nazel of the Arizona Humane Society, and we appreciate her calling in tonight. And an important point here, we do want to mention that if it's a child, if it's an animal, if you're going to be going into the grocery store, going into the mall, wherever you're going, please just don't leave anyone in the car. This gets, I believe, up to temperatures of 150 plus inside that vehicle, and it's devastating. You're asking for nothing nothing less short of death. And we're going to go ahead and take. We have another caller here. Brian, are you on the line with us?
Yeah. Hey, Cameron. How are you?
I'm very good, sir. I appreciate your calling in tonight. Did you get a chance to listen to the show tonight, and you had some comments on this?
Well, I just had just caught a little bit of the last call about the it was the police dog.
Yeah, the canine Bandit
animals,
was his name.
yeah.
Yes, Chandler police officer, canine dog.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a regretful event. The police, they you can't thank him enough, and that dog was probably very close to him, and he loved it very much, and definitely an unfortunate situation. It's not. I don't think it's the kind of situation where maybe citizens are involved, where it's best just to leave your pet home for that hour you have to go out. You see it.
Yeah, the sad thing about this, Brian, is that the dog was at his home, and that's where he found him at. He was inside. He was inside the SUV that was parked outside his house Sunday night at 10 p.m. So here you figure it's 10 p.m. at night, and this is what I would think Kim was stressing is that they need to investigate and find out. And she was trying to detail and refine what the Arizona state statute is about recklessness and negligence on the part of this officer or the handler that had the canine in his possession, and that it looks to me that like it was very negligent. And I don't want to try to hurt the guy, but I mean you don't leave your kid in the car and you don't leave your animal in the car. And obviously he must have loved this dog, you would think, because it's his partner, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's a tough opinion or stand to take, only because it is. It's a regretful situation, and you just hope that you're never put in that position. And you just as the previous caller mentioned, to find out what the regulations are and let the due process take its course. Just there's always this time of year. There's always the awareness every year where there's the drownings or the kids in the car or anything. Drownings.
Every year, I mean, we've even got that 2-second commercial that goes on every station every year around this time, because every year we're going to have kids drown in the pool. Every year we're going to have kids left in the car. And unfortunately, every year we're going to have animals left in the car. And we definitely need to bring about the state of awareness to bring people to a level of, you got to pay attention, folks. Wake up. You don't text message while you're driving in your car. You don't leave your kids in the car when you're out, and you don't leave your dog in the car. It's an awareness issue. And it's sad to me because what is this, 2007? We're a pretty forward, population, or a species, if you would, with intelligence and the fortitude to do the right and wrong thing. It's like you've got to take care of it. I was also reading that there was a canine that we also recently lost. Kansas City, Jefferson, Kansas City, I believe. No, excuse me, Kansas City. Kansas City. There was an animal there. Canine dog, Dio, I believe, was their name, and they lost their life. But this dog lost their life in a good way, so to speak, because police were trying to apprehend some suspects up on a roof, and the dog either jumped off of the roof, and you'd think they'd be smart enough not to do that, but they would either jumped off of the roof or they were pushed off of the roof, because the dog was trying to apprehend the suspects. And this canine, of course, his incident resulted in their death. And so that's sad. But at least in this case, you say, the dog gave its life to protect us, or to protect the handler, to protect the other officers. And that's what the canine dog is even there for. Sometimes those canine dogs are going in to look for drugs, or they're going after to take down a suspect before the officer has to get there. That way, if there's any initial kind of confrontation with a weapon or any kind of danger before the officer gets there, that dog's already taken care of it. And a lot of dogs are probably lost in that kind of situation. But it's not in vain. And I appreciate what Kim from the Arizona Humane Society was saying, that she doesn't want this to be in vain. Unfortunately, it sort of is in vain, because the dog died unnecessarily. It did not need to be left in the car for 13 hours. That was unnecessary. All right, a dog jumping off of a roof or getting killed in a confrontation with a suspect, that happens. That's why the dog's there. So I appreciate your call in tonight, Brian. And anything else you'd like to add to this situation that we have?
Brian's gone.
All right. Brian's already gone with us. So, Brian, we appreciate your call in tonight. Other callers and listeners, if you'd like to voice your comments or concerns or opinions, please call us 1-800-421-5308 nationwide. If you're in the local Phoenix area, 602-288-6794. You are listening to Happy Hour on Wavelength Radio. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to have the Patrick Adams Show. Great show. If you haven't heard it, stay tuned. You're going to have a lot of fun. After that, we're going to have the Roundtable with Charles Peterson hosting the Roundtable, current events and arguments, topics. Whatever might happen, you never know. Please stay tuned for that. It'll be Patrick Adams and myself hosting, or with host Charles Peterson. So we look forward to you being with us on that. We're going to go ahead and just play a quick song and be right back with you. You're listening to Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio. You're listening to Wavelength Radio. You're listening to
Visit us on the web at www.wavelength-radio.com.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio. From Cool Wave Pictures, Wavelength Radio presents Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper.
Come together.
Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. Thank you for staying with us. We are back. Well, we're just about ready to wrap our show up and turn the mic over to Mr. Patrick Adams. Great show. Please stay tuned for that. I read this week that Don Imus, am I saying his name right, producer? Yeah, Don Imus, the former CBS radio host. Well, this is a segue, my friend. Patrick Adams saying he's going to be talking a little bit about Don Imus. Don Imus, former CBS radio host. Of course, he was ousted, if you would, from the CBS radio show that he had because of some racist remarks that he was firing out the microphone, if not out his ass. But I believe the content was something about you nappy-headed hoes. And that got him off the air. And, of course, he fired back saying that, well, you guys hired me to be racy and to be a quick fire on the mic and these kinds of things and this kind of dialogue. So he sued them and they sued him. And but I did read on a nationwide radio broadcasting demographic that rates all shows across the nation, that he's in the top 15 radio hosts, if not in the top 5 radio hosts in the nation, even after getting a new show with another station. So goodbye CBS, but hello, maybe he's making even more money, I don't know. But CBS and Don Imus did settle out of court on this issue. How much money, it's confidential, but I guess he walked away with probably some great money. And something curious I want to talk about. A friend of mine was telling me at work that we have a lot of flies where I work, and not just the people, okay, but we have a lot of flies where I work because it's not the cleanest place that I work at. So we have lots of flies, and we actually have a fly swatter with the handle and everything. And a few of the employees there like to actually get pretty crazy with that thing and see, I guess they're after, their competition, who can kill the most flies. But there's dead flies all over the place. But anyway, this other guy was telling me that down in Louisiana, voodoo country, they hang bags of water, plastic bags of water with a penny in it. And they hang it around, and the flies don't go around it. And that's their ammunition against the flies. So I did a little bit of research because I thought this sounds like voodoo to me. And because Louisiana down there, they have voodoo dolls and seances and things of this nature, and it's just a little bit creepy. So I'm just thinking this sounds a little bit weird. It sounds like something that Sylvia Browne from the Montel Williams show would come off with.
Well, what we do in my house is we hang up bags of water with a penny in it, and then I see them to their death,
And then Montel just, oh yeah, he's just licking all over, he just loves it. She's on there every frickin' week, I think they're having an affair. I really do. And she's gross. But nonetheless, I actually research it. They do it at farms and other places where there's lots of flies, but you hang a bag of water up, and maybe the penny in there is a little bit of an added thing. But the researchers think that what is happening, because a fly's eye is very unique. It's like a multi-eye in an eye, and then they got two of them. So they probably got like a zillion eyeballs there, all right? So they are afraid of spider webs. They sense spider webs, and they don't go near them. So he thinks, or they think, what's happening, that light reflecting through the bag of water with the penny in it, it probably makes them think that that's a spider web, and the penny is probably some animal captured or creature captured in the spider web crapping because the spider's coming to eat it. But there's some valid truth to what my friend told me at work. So I wanted to let you know that some things are a myth and some things are a truth, and sometimes they're half-truths. But if you hear something and you're not sure, get on the internet, research it. All right? We've had a great show tonight. I appreciate you listening. I do want to plug our Patrick Adam Hour coming up here one more time. He'll be right with you. All callers, please give us a call nationwide, 1-800-421-5308. Local viewers, listeners, in the Phoenix area, 602-288-6794. And email us if you have comments via email, coolwaveradio@gmail.com. We thank you for being with us. We are going to play you a song. I wanted to play you an Elvis song, but we don't have it. We don't have it because this tomorrow marks the anniversary of Elvis Presley's death, and I wanted to play you an Elvis song. But we're going to go ahead and also, I want to give you the Wavelength Radio. It's actually, the website is called wavelength-radio.com. And by going onto this new website that we have, you will be able to click on the player button, and your player brings the show on. It's just that simple. Click on it and listen. The phone number's there. Give us a call. We welcome your calls on every show. Coming up at the 10 o'clock hour, we have Roundtable with Charles Peterson hosting. You're listening to Happy Hour with Cameron Cooper. Thanks for joining us.
You're listening to Wavelength Radio from Cool Wave Pictures.